A major transatlantic showdown is unfolding tonight, and it's centered on a place most Americans rarely think about: Greenland. Former President Donald Trump has reignited one of the most controversial ideas of his presidency, the acquisition of Greenland. And this time, he's attaching real economic consequences. Trump has threatened new tariffs on 8 European allies, including Denmark, Germany, France, and the United Kingdom, unless the United States is allowed to purchase the Arctic island. Under the plan, 10% tariffs would begin on February 1st, escalating to 25% by June. Trump made his position bluntly clear. I may put tariffs on countries if they don't go along with Greenland because we need Greenland for national security. That statement has sent shockwaves across Europe and rattled global markets. Europe pushes back over the weekend. European Union officials held emergency talks, signaling they may activate the bloc's powerful anti-coercion instrument, a legal tool designed to counter economic pressure from foreign governments. If triggered, it could restrict U.S. companies' access to European markets, marking one of the most serious trade escalations between allies in decades. Brussels is also preparing retaliatory tariffs worth nearly $17 billion, aimed directly at Washington. These moves are timed carefully. European leaders hope to gain leverage ahead of high-stakes meetings with Trump at the World Economic Forum in Davos. NATO on edge. The crisis is now spilling into the heart of Western security. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte confirmed he spoke directly with Trump on Sunday about the growing tensions in Greenland and the Arctic, a region where Russia and China are rapidly expanding their footprint. European leaders are warning that the implications go far beyond trade. One senior European official delivered a stark assessment. A U.S. invasion of Greenland would make Vladimir Putin the happiest man in the world. Why? First, it would legitimize territorial aggression, echoing Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Second, and more dangerously, it could fracture NATO itself, undermining the alliance from within. Allies speak out. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has already spoken directly with Trump, warning that imposing tariffs on NATO allies over collective security decisions is wrong. Denmark's Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen was even more direct. Europe will not be blackmailed. French President Emmanuel Macron emphasized European sovereignty and Arctic security, while Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni urged dialogue, stressing that Europe's Arctic efforts are not aimed at the United States, but at preventing hostile powers from exploiting the region. Markets and streets react. The dispute is already hitting financial markets. Both the euro and the British pound slipped against the dollar, with analysts warning of renewed volatility and the risk of a wider transatlantic trade war. Public anger is also growing. Over the weekend, thousands of protesters marched in Greenland, waving national flags and chanting, "Greenland is not for sale." One protester summed up the mood. He's arrogant, a bully, he doesn't care about anyone but himself. Others framed the standoff as a broader struggle. This is a fight for freedom, for NATO, for everything the West has stood for since World War II. Why Greenland matters. Trump argues the United States needs Greenland for national security. The island sits at a strategic crossroads between North America and Europe, critical for missile defense, early warning systems, and Arctic surveillance, especially as Russia militarizes the region and China pushes deeper into polar infrastructure. But critics say this isn't about defense alone. They argue the crisis exposes a deeper rupture, one where partnership is giving way to pressure, and where American leadership risks being seen not as protective, but imperial. Closing. What started as a territorial debate has now become something far bigger. The Greenland standoff is testing the very foundations of the Western alliance, NATO unity, transatlantic trust, and the idea of the West as a united front. As tariffs loom, markets tremble, and allies push back, one question hangs over the crisis. Is this about securing the future, or reshaping it at the cost of everything built since World War II? Because the world doesn't fit into neat boxes, and neither does this story. From battlefields to boardrooms, from Arctic ice to global power struggles, these are the conversations everyone is having, and the ones many are trying to avoid. This is the story.